Samuel Barrett is a very lucky man, because if Jota hadn't snatched those 3 points at the end, there would have been some serious questions about his integrity. A straight red card for James Tarkowski just 10 minutes into the game, and a clear penalty on Darwin Núñez in the second half, both somehow not given. For whatever reason, the officials saw nothing wrong. But you know how we do things here at Panenka? We like to keep the ref talk to a minimum, so let's leave it at that. Now, what a way to come back from the international break, especially after that gloomy week we had going into it. A big win against our noisy neighbours, keeping us solid at the top of the table and painting the city red once again. Not that it was ever a different colour, to be fair. Was it a perfect performance though? Unfortunately, no. It was a hard-fought 3 points, and at times, we were our own worst enemy. Still, it's a result that sets the tone as we kick off this final stretch of the season. So before we dive into the details, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into our usual post-match breakdown. With Trent still out injured and the game coming just a bit too soon for Connor Bradley, the big question heading into this one was whether Arne Slot would once again put his faith in Jarell Quansah at right back, or if he had something else up his sleeve. Turns out he did. The Scouser in our team stepped up in a different role. Curtis Jones, who had briefly played right back under Klopp before, slotted into that position again last night, and, to be fair, he did a pretty solid job. But before we get into how he fared, let's take a look at the starting 11 and set the scene. Kelleher started between the posts as Alisson didn't pass the concussion protocols. The backline featured Andrew Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and of course Curtis Jones. The midfield trio was exactly what we expected, with Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, and Dominic Szoboszlai getting the nod. Up front, it was Mo Salah, Luis Diaz, and Diogo Jota leading the line. Now, going back to Jones, we were all wondering how exactly he was going to be used in this unfamiliar role. Was he going to play as a standard fullback? Was he going to invert into midfield? From what we saw, it looked like he was being used in a way pretty similar to how Slot normally uses Trent. He didn't invert into midfield constantly, and he wasn't out wide overlapping either for most of the game. So what did he actually do? Well, do you know what Newton's Cradle is? It's that desk toy with the little metal balls that swing side to side. You're probably thinking we've started waffling, but hold on. Let us explain. Both Jones and Robertson acted like that Newton's Cradle we mentioned, depending on where the ball was. As you can see on the screen, if the ball was on the left, then Jones would step into central areas to help overload the middle. If the ball was on the right, Robertson would do the same from his side. Let us show you an example that came just 20 seconds into the match, which already gave us a glimpse of the Reds' intentions. Here you can see Jones staying wide when the ball was on his side, while Robertson was tucked into the left half space. Then, as the ball was worked back to Konate, and he looked ready to play it to the left, that was Jones's cue to shift inside. That movement dragged Everton's wide player into the middle, creating a 1-versus-1 opportunity for Salah and giving him space to attack if Van Dijk decided to switch the play. In this sequence though, our captain chose to pass it back to Gravenberch instead. So normally, Jones would then go back out wide and Robertson would move back inside. But Robbo didn't do that here, and you can actually see Van Dijk shouting at him to get higher and move into that central position. This pattern from our fullbacks kept popping up throughout the game, and it really helped us isolate our wingers, especially Diaz on the left-hand side, and progress the ball through them. It worked even better because we overloaded the middle with our own players, forcing Everton's block to stay narrow. That let us switch play side to side more effectively and progress the ball from the back with more control. In this next sequence, you'll be able to see everything we just talked about, and how it led to Diaz getting the ball in a 1-versus-1 situation out wide. Take a look at how Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and McAllister are all positioned narrowly, almost in a straight line across the midfield. Then, as the ball moves to the opposite side, Robertson steps into the left half space. From there, Van Dijk has a clear line and easily finds Diaz with a pass. We were able to create these kinds of situations over and over again. Just take a look at this pass target zone map. You can see it clearly. 8% of our passes went to both Salah and Diaz's areas, showing just how balanced and deliberate our approach was on both wings. Now, did we actually manage to make the most of these situations? Unfortunately, not really. Diaz found it tough getting past O'Brien on his side, and Salah was quickly shut down by his marker. So both players, especially in the first half, struggled to create any clear chances. Part of that was down to how slow we were in moving the ball once we reached the final third. On top of that, we were missing an interior player who could receive between the lines and link things up. Instead, Jota, Szoboszlai and McAllister were all making runs into the box rather than staying between the lines to combine. Because of that, our possession in the final third felt a bit flat and lacking in real threat. And of course, we can't ignore the absence of Trent's creative spark. Plus, we were missing a proper physical presence in the box, something we also pointed out after the EFL Cup final. Thankfully, things improved in the second half, especially in the first 20 minutes. The tempo in the final third picked up. We started moving the ball quicker, spotting the runs of players like McAllister and Jota, and actually finding them in more dangerous areas. We looked to break through Everton's block with sharper, more direct passes, and that's exactly how we got our goal. Now, some might say that Diaz was offside and interfered with play drawing the defender in, who then got dragged out of position just before Diaz received the ball back and combined with Jota. Alright, we'll give them that. But are they going to give us that red card and the penalty? Because let's be honest, we probably wouldn't have needed that goal if we'd just been given what we deserved. Alright, that's enough referee talk. Let's get back to Curtis Jones. Our number 17 actually did a pretty solid job in a completely different position. And what stood out just as much as his work on the ball was his work off it. Maybe that's because he's not exactly unfamiliar with the role in the first place. Across 5 games where he's played as a right back, Jones has won 13 out of 19 duels, made 26 recoveries, 7 interceptions, and has a 94% pass completion rate. That's not bad at all. Now, to be honest, we're not exactly in favour of turning Jones into a full-time fullback. But in certain situations, you can definitely see the value of having someone like him slot in there. So, all in all, a good win after the break, even if it wasn't the most polished performance we've ever seen. We kept our spot at the top, got a clean sheet, and saw some interesting tactical tweaks that might come in handy down the stretch. It wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. Sometimes grinding out results like this is exactly what champions do. Curtis Jones stepping in at right back, Jota with another clutch moment, and the team showing signs of better rhythm in the second half. It all points to us slowly wrapping the title up. There's still work to be done, but if we keep building on this, we'll be right where we want to be come the end of the season. But what did you guys think? Should Jones continue in that right back role when needed, or would you prefer a more traditional option there? And what did you make of our performance overall? Solid enough, or are there still big concerns? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we always love hearing what you think. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.